you know, what you super quickly realize if you're making theater, unless you're like maybe a wildly supported Broadway thing, is that almost at every single level it is such a hustle. And we're like really at the early, young, low level of it, so it's such a hustle, but and you're constantly it's really hard to balance between the creative and the admin side and the infrastructure to keep, like, to get a show here, like the logistics of us to move all the people here are incredibly hard, but it's the kind of group energy that gets it going. So, I mean, all of the prior shows had been wholly written by me. Like, we've never performed a play by someone else or done this much of like even an adaptation, and I'd been thinking for a while what we would do if we ever did something like that, and didn't totally expect it to be Chekhov, but I saw the Broadway version a couple of years, I think it was 2008, it was in New York City. It was actually really amazing. So when Nina in this Broadway show, who was played by Carey Mulligan, but she wasn't even a movie star yet, I didn't even know who she was, but she was amazing. And when she said these things like, "I love the lake the way a seagull does," I was like, oh my God, that line is incredible. That's like some weird teenage adolescent magic language. And it just really struck me what Chekhov was, or I all of a sudden found this way into Chekhov. And then it really resonated with my writing, which is often in this sort of like adolescent coded, potentially female girl speak. And I just, oh my God, I'm like, he's rendering this world like Nina and Masha. These are these teenage girls with all these complicated, weird desires. And then it gave me a way into Chekhov, which I'd already started to read and really love, but I really returned to it and realized how genius and major what he was doing in these plays was. And especially was struck by the Seagull because it's like about actors and writers and wannabe actors and wannabe writers, and all they do is like talk about wanting to make work and making work. And it felt really resonant with like our company and like the world we're in downtown New York theater, like where all we do is talk about our work and go see other work, and half the companies are in other shows, and so all we're doing is like being writers and actors. I made a really short version, like a 5-page version of like making the Seagull in 5 pages, and what was that like. And I had 2 characters. I had Nina and a character based on Soren, and I merged some of the lines I liked with Chekhov with mine. And we showed it at this small night of like where people showed little excerpts of things, and it just was really incredible, and it felt like it really worked merging that stuff together. So when we had another residency where we had time to just develop something, we played around with that concept and brought in more actors, and I wrote more text, and I'd have them also just read straight Chekhov, and then the project sort of was off and running.
Привет, Pietro. Привет, Rebe. Параштитки минутко. Надо задать тебе вопрос.
Ой, не сече Билля.
Я оставил мои эти балетные туфли в тройке.
Vera, I cannot deal with you as a niece anymore.
But I'm not your niece. I'm not your niece. In real life, I'm not your niece. That's just in the play. Idiot. Right? And why do you keep calling me Vera right now? My name is Nina. You're making me crazy, and I have to get ready. Do you love my hair?
Vera, I'm gonna say it again. I can't stand you as a niece.
All right, but I don't even play a niece in the play, actually. Now that I think about it, I'm not your niece in this piece. I don't understand what you're doing. I don't know how to say the right thing or give you what. I have no clue, actually, what you expect from me as a friend or as an actress or as a niece.
This is the longest we've ever developed a piece, and it'll be about 1.5 years between when we first started doing something with it and, you know, now, and then when it premieres in its big fat premiere at Coil in like a month. And it's just given us more room to play and figure out, especially because we didn't know what we're doing. I mean, this was such a weird, bizarre challenge. Like, we're gonna do this version of Seagull, and at first, it was like, I was literally like, are we gonna do the Seagull? But I couldn't stop writing and mixing in my own stuff after that first 5-page thing where I did mix it. So then it was like, oh, because should it be all my own writing? Because so early on, some people saw early workshops and were like, this is great, but I think just go totally with your writing and as a response to it. But I just couldn't let go of some of those amazing Chekhov scenes just to sort of, they felt important to work against. Scary, but important to work against an art thing. So the room to sort of really play around with that stuff and figure out how it all fits together. It's like, with like something the way we work at MASS MoCA, getting to work at MASS MoCA is incredible because the aesthetics of any of our plays are incredibly important. Like, because it's not gonna be set like in a kitchen, or we're making this sort of atmospheric feeling, and we knew we wanted sort of this like very like light colored space and like these light colored costumes, but getting to sort of like play with the aesthetics and formal choices of that side of it are huge, almost as important to us, or me in general, as the work, as like the acting and the that stuff. So that's a huge element for us here, that it's like a huge opportunity to get to like hang up those amazing curtains we have up and like test out the floor color, and then we'll have the costumes here on the girls and like see how this all looks and resonates with the text. And we have this amazing Russian folk metal inspired score that underscores a lot of it and these songs. And so just getting to keep figuring out like how all that is staged. Yeah, because it's not a plot-driven play in a traditional sense. You almost have to figure this stuff out, like almost molecule by molecule, moment by moment. And so the room and space and time to do that, and then to do it on a real stage like this is like, before our huge premiere, is like invaluable.